Let's start by understanding the foundation of this journey. The twin flame connection is unlike anything else. It's intense, it's magnetic, and it pulls you in like a force you can't explain. From the moment your souls recognize each other, everything changes. It's not just about love, it's about awakening. It's about growth, healing, and transformation. But here's the twist: not everyone runs toward this connection. Sometimes, one person becomes the runner while the other becomes the chaser. That's common, and you've probably heard about it a lot. But what about when both twin flames are runners? What does that even look like? How does that happen? And most importantly, what does it mean for the journey? This is what we're going to talk about today. And I'll be honest, this is one of the most challenging stages because when both twins run, the connection feels stuck. It feels like nothing is moving forward. Both people are avoiding the truth, both are trying to escape the intensity, and both are resisting the very thing that's meant to change their lives. So let's break it down. We're going to talk about why both twins run, what's really happening on a deeper level, what this stage teaches you, and how to shift the energy so things can move forward again. If you've ever wondered why someone would run from the love of their life, the answer is simple: fear. And when both twin flames run, it means fear is running the show for both of them. But this fear isn't the usual kind. It's not just fear of getting hurt or fear of commitment. It's fear of change, fear of losing control, fear of being seen in a way you've never been seen before. Because here's the truth: your twin flame sees all of you, not the version you show to the world, not the mask you put on to fit in. They see the raw, unfiltered, real you. And that's terrifying for a lot of people. When you meet your twin, everything hidden inside you comes up: your wounds, your insecurities, your old traumas. Things you thought you buried years ago start rising to the surface. And most people aren't ready for that. It's overwhelming. So what happens? You run. You distract yourself. You throw yourself into work. You start dating someone else. You tell yourself it wasn't real. You convince yourself you imagined the whole thing, anything to avoid feeling what you're feeling. Now, when both twins do this, it usually means both are equally unprepared for the depth of this connection. Maybe both have abandonment wounds. Maybe both fear rejection. Maybe both have a deep need for control. And when this energy mirrors back and forth, it creates a loop where no one steps forward. The connection is still there. The love is still there. But it's buried under layers of fear and avoidance. So, the real reason both twin flames run is because they aren't ready to face themselves. And that's the core of this journey. It's not just about facing your twin, it's about facing you. And that's the hardest part. When both twin flames are runners, the dynamic feels very different from the classic runner-chaser stage. Instead of one person trying to hold on and the other pulling away, both are pulling away. You might notice long periods of silence. Both of you stop reaching out. Neither wants to make the first move. And it's not because you don't care. It's because caring feels dangerous. Caring means vulnerability, and vulnerability means you might get hurt. Sometimes both twins dive into other relationships, not because they've moved on, but because it's easier to be with someone who doesn't trigger your deepest fears. Someone safe, someone who doesn't shake your soul awake. Other times, both throw themselves into distractions: work, hobbies, anything to keep from thinking about each other. But here's the thing: you can't run from energy. The connection doesn't go away. No matter how much you try to ignore it, it's still there, pulling at you in the background. There's also a lot of mirroring happening here. If you're avoiding your feelings, chances are your twin is too. If you're scared to reach out, so are they. This is why nothing moves forward, because both are reflecting the same fear back at each other. So, in real life, this stage feels like a dead end. But it's not. It's a pause. A very uncomfortable pause that's actually full of purpose, and we'll talk about that next. This is the part most people don't see. On the surface, it looks like nothing is happening. Two people are ignoring each other, avoiding the connection, living separate lives. But beneath the surface, something huge is happening. When both twin flames run, it's usually because the soul work required is massive. This stage is like an energetic reset. It's the universe saying, okay, if you're both too scared to face this together, then we'll separate you so you can do the work alone. This time apart is for healing. It's for clearing out old wounds that keep you stuck. It's for learning independence, self-love, and emotional stability. Because here's the truth. You can't come into union carrying the same fears that made you run in the first place. That energy has to shift. So spiritually, this stage is about growth. And it's not a punishment. It's preparation. It's giving you space to face your shadows without the intensity of your twin right in front of you. It's also important to understand that even when both of you are running, the connection is still active. You're still triggering growth in each other, even from a distance. You might notice dreams, synchronicities, sudden waves of emotion that don't make sense. That's the energy working between you. So what looks like silence is actually transformation. Slow, painful, uncomfortable transformation, but necessary. This stage isn't easy for either twin. On the outside, it might look like you've moved on. You might even tell yourself you're fine, but deep down, you know you're not. There's always that pull, that longing you can't shake. For many twins, this stage feels lonely. You miss each other, but the fear is stronger than the desire to reconnect. So you keep avoiding. You keep pretending. But the emotions don't go away. In fact, they often hit harder when you least expect it, like when you see something that reminds you of them, or you hear their name, or they pop up in your dreams. There's also frustration. A part of you knows this connection is special, but another part feels powerless to do anything about it. That tug of war between your soul and your fear is exhausting. And let's not forget the guilt. Sometimes both twins feel guilty for running, guilty for not being strong enough, guilty for choosing fear over love. But that guilt is also part of the healing. It's what pushes you to eventually face the truth. So yes, this stage is hard, but remember, it's not forever. It's just a chapter. When both of you are running, it can feel like nothing will ever move forward. But the truth is, the shift always begins with you. In a twin flame journey, you are the key. Everything starts within. You cannot control your twin. You cannot make them stop running. You cannot convince them to return. But you can understand why you are running. That is where real change begins. Ask yourself the deep questions that you might be avoiding. What am I afraid of facing in this connection? What would happen if I allowed myself to stay instead of run? Why do I feel unworthy of this love? These questions help you uncover the wounds that fuel your fear. When you face these truths, the energy shifts. Then turn your focus inward. This is not about becoming perfect for your twin flame. It is about becoming whole for yourself. Heal the old wounds that make you feel unsafe. Strengthen your self-worth so you no longer need external validation. Learn to embrace vulnerability instead of fearing it. When you feel safe with your own emotions, the need to escape starts to fade. Keep the energetic connection alive in gentle ways. You do not have to send a message if it feels overwhelming. Instead, you can meditate and send love from your heart. Speak to their higher self, silently or in writing. Visualize peace between you. This keeps the bond warm without pressure or control. Finally, release the need for a timeline. Obsessing over when union will happen creates resistance. It adds tension to an already sensitive connection. Instead, trust that divine timing is real. Let go of control and surrender to the flow. When both of you are ready, life will bring you back together. And when that happens, it will feel natural, not forced. When both twins run, it can feel like you failed each other. But this stage is not a failure. It is a teacher, a very powerful one. First, it teaches you about fear. It shows you how much fear still shapes your decisions. It reveals where you still hide parts of yourself and where you still do not feel safe to be seen. Running is not weakness, it is a signal. It tells you what still needs healing inside you. Second, it teaches you about love, the real kind. Not love that clings or controls. Not love that panics at the thought of losing someone. But love that trusts. Love that gives space without closing the heart. Love that knows connection is eternal, even in silence. Most of all, this stage teaches you about yourself. Because when you run from your twin, you are really running from the parts of you that feel unworthy or afraid. Facing those parts is the hardest thing you will ever do, but it is also the most freeing. This stage can feel long and heavy. It can break down everything you thought you knew about love and connection. But through that breaking, something new is born, a stronger version of you, a version that can handle the intensity of union without fear. That is why this stage matters. It is preparing you for the love you have been searching for, and that preparation is worth every moment. So how do you know when the running phase, especially when both of you are runners, is coming to an end? You'll notice small shifts. Things inside you will start to change. First, the fear begins to fade. You stop feeling overwhelmed at the thought of your twin. You start feeling peace instead of panic. Second, the longing feels different. It's not desperate anymore. It's calm. You love them, but you're okay even if you're apart. That's a huge sign of growth. Third, you might notice synchronicities increasing again. Numbers, dreams, random reminders of them everywhere. These are signs the energy is aligning for a reconnection. And finally, you feel ready. Truly ready. Not just ready to have them back, but ready to face the parts of yourself that made you run in the first place. That's when union energy starts flowing in. If you've made it this far, you probably understand something important. When both twin flames run, it doesn't mean the journey is over. It doesn't mean the connection failed. It just means the growth required is bigger than either of you expected. And that's okay. This stage isn't about punishment. It's about preparation. It's the universe giving you space to become the best version of yourself before coming back together. It might feel like a long, lonely road at times, but every single step you take is shaping you for something bigger. So instead of asking, why are we both running? Start asking, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? Because that's where your power is. Not in chasing, not in waiting, but in becoming. And remember, the love between twin flames doesn't disappear. It doesn't fade just because you're apart. It's still there, guiding you, pushing you up, even when it feels quiet. So trust the process, trust the timing, and most of all, trust yourself. One day, when you've both faced your fears and embraced your truth, the running will stop. And when it does, everything will make sense. Until then, keep moving forward, one step, one breath, one moment at a time.